I just wasn't ready. When Fredy came to me, I saw the fire in this guy's life of the passion he had for this clinic and future projects. But I, as an individual, wasn't ready. And it was interesting. Over the course of the next year, I was just going through an identity phase of life and started to call myself a missionary. And I can share that story off script with you guys, but then he called me again for year 2, which would have been his year 2 at the time, or second time he'd asked me, and my first trip. And when I sat down to write pros and cons, there was no cons. I just knew that the Lord was going to change me if I came here. And was I ready to go back home after a change and go fishing again, or implement that change into my life? In April, I would have typically heard from Fredy on scheduling the mission trip for this year. So when I reached out to him, he told me that we're probably canceling the mission trip because of the unrest in the country on the eastern side. So he wasn't going to be taking a group. And at that point, I still said, hey, I'd be interested in going if you're still going to go and I'm able to be beneficial to the trip. I'm up for going. If I'm going to be a hindrance, because Fredy's always busy when he's here, 22 hours running, going, no harm, no foul, I'll stick behind. But he said, I'd love to take you. So 3 years ago, when I first met Fredy, he had approached me a couple months after our first meeting and asked me to come on this mission trip with him, which would have been 2023. And that was an easy no for me. Then over the course of the next 12 months, going through some identity changes and God putting missionary work on my heart, he reached out to me again to go in April of 23, and I came, and that was with a group, and now we're here this year. And there's a huge difference between last year's trip, which was my first, and this trip, in that being with a group in 2024, your mind was a lot more preoccupied with the individuals that you were with. You were able to communicate with them easily. You laughed, you joked, you talked about the things you saw. This year, while Fredy's taking care of his business and such, I've had more time to spend speaking to the individuals that work here, speaking to patients coming in and out, the ladies, holding the kids that come in and making them laugh and then making me laugh. Just sitting out street side on the steps of the clinic, watching people come and go, watching the city itself basically live throughout the day. And relay that as I come back to my room at night or in the middle of the day and grab scripture and read the red letters and see how Jesus approached the communities of the needy and the sick and the ill, and truly find a relationship on what it means to interact and serve others so far from home without the comforts that you have, and understand that there's something here. The clinic has not only impacted this community, it's impacted the people that live in the community, and it's impacted people who are able to work here, which I guess are still part of the community. And when I say community, when I was visiting with some individuals, some of the ladies that came in for care on Wednesday, I was asking, one of my questions was like, how far do you come from? And we had 2 blocks over to 5 miles. So there's a draw here to pull people in to get the care that they need and care that they appreciate. In the last year, there was a maybe average of 30 births per month. Just in July alone, last month was 68 births. Over 600 patients are being seen here. And then you speak to the individuals or listen to their testimony, because that's truly what it is, a testimony that they have, that the 3-year anniversary this clinic has given them. They had nothing. They may have been out selling something off of a wood bench, or they had a skill set that God gave them a gift, and the clinic has given them an opportunity to utilize that gift that God has given them to serve back the others. And one individual laughed. I was so skinny when I came in here, I didn't have a place to live. And he's probably got the biggest belly in the room now, and he pointed to that and he laughed. But he wasn't making fun of himself. He was saying it from a perspective that this place has given him some life. So the impact to watch this grow is only going to touch more patients, more children, and more people eager to better their lives as this clinic grows. So Fredy and I have had great opportunity to drive around every day that we've been here. And the best part about it is Fredy's been driving. So it's given him a different perspective as well. And me sitting right next to him. The traffic could be described as crazy, chaotic, and undescribable. I try with my phone to video, but it's not going to do any justice to anybody when I show it to them. But as I drive along, I also watch the individuals. And in what seems to be such a dirty city with trash burning every day, every street, drainage gutters full of gray water and trash, but yet the individuals want to sweep their own little dirt spot in front of their business, pick up their own little trash. They don't have any place to put it, so they have to burn it. But the way they dress, the way they prepare the food that they're selling, set out in a nice manner, there's pride in the community. There's pride in these people. There's talents, they're entrepreneurs, they're business people, they're hustlers. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They hustle to try to make $1. The struggle you start to see is that us as Americans and as a world community truly benefit off of the backs of this country. And there's a gateway of natural resources, a plethora of it, that God has given this country, which could care for the people of this country. It could allow them to have infrastructure, clean streets, trash service. But because of the corruption, the pathway that the natural resources travel, the whole world community is somewhat taking advantage of it and never has to look back. When you grab your iPhone, when you turn on your TV, when you start your new car and all the electronics in it, it's real easy to go into a business back at home, and if somebody's taking advantage of you or somebody's harassing the store owner, we may not shop there, or they sell something we don't like, so we walk away because it's against our beliefs or sorts. But we don't even think about that when we pick up a phone and realize that people are slaves to this work. People don't have a proper sewer system because of the infrastructure in a country that the world is taking advantage of. Fredy and I had opportunity to go what we'd call downtown and kind of scouting out where a tool shop was at. So we had lunch, and after lunch it was not by chance that we just started to go for a walk, and we started to recognize some of the areas we were in last year. And there was a statue downtown in a roundabout with about 8 steps. It was 12 little boys sitting on those steps. It wasn't long before those 12 boys were around Fredy and I. And even though they didn't know us, there was a smile on their face immediately just as they ran up. And you sit there and you laugh with them. And through Fredy interpreting with them, we wanted to know what their story was. Where do they live? Why are they here? What's going on? And yeah, all 12 of these boys were homeless, living on the street, living on the steps of that statue. And then they would turn and point, and if it's raining, we sleep over there underneath that awning. And you hear most of their stories, and they don't have parents. Maybe they were living with an aunt and uncle who could have been abusive, or with grandparents. And life isn't even hard for them that run the home. So if a child becomes like a little sore to them, they may kick them out, or they don't even know how to handle being a parent again in such a crazy society, a poor society, a needy society, a sick society, that the child just will take off. And we make it sound like that's their choice to leave, but they're finding a little more happiness outside. Interesting thing about these 12 boys though, because we knew we wanted to help them in some way. So I had Fredy ask them, you guys know any Bible stories? And the most beautiful part was over the course of the next 5 minutes. We heard story of Joseph. We heard story of Moses and his staff used to part the Red Sea. How God spoke to Jeremiah as a little boy. Noah and the ark. So these kids know. God is getting to these kids somehow. But there's got to be something deeper to get to these kids for the rest. Not one man envisions, draws out, and builds a product that's only going to serve himself. And to go a little bit deeper, that product, when it's created, can't do anything for itself. That product that's created is to benefit somebody. And if it benefits just the creator, so be it. If it benefits others, it's a blessing. And you were created by God. And He didn't create you just to sit and make money for yourself. And I don't want to say it just that terms of making money, but He didn't create you just for you. He created you to serve Him and help others in His kingdom. And I don't know what gift He's given you to do so. And sometimes we just have to trust the individuals who've been given the gift of the vision and the ability to put everything together and run with it. And we might say, here you go. And the next step, though, of being uncomfortable is maybe not just writing a check one time, but truly when we start giving out of our poverty and giving out of our comfort zone is where the blessings come. In Mark, Jesus is talking about the people giving. And near the end of the chapter, it talks about the woman that gave the 2 mite. And He talks about the blessing she will have because she gave out of nothing, when everybody else just gave out of their abundance. And when we give out of our abundance, we miss out on so much. So if you'd like to be a part of this, we greatly welcome you. And I'm not even asking you to write a check or give money right now, right away, without knowing any more. Go to Fredy, come to myself, or anybody else who's gone. Look at pictures, hear stories. That's what's going to touch you. That's what's going to make an impact. And that's how we can change the world one person at a time.